You've heard the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over with the same result. That applies to deer hunting as well. Too many hunters do the same thing year in and year out with limited success. Is it really that difficult to hunt smarter and not harder?
The thing you're going to find is oftentimes we can be better hunters by hunting less, by hunting smarter than hunting harder.
Hey guys, use this.
I'm Steve Bartella.
I'm Gordy Cron.
I'm Mark Kaiser.
I'm Dan Schmidt, and this is Deer and Deer Hunting TV.
Hunt smarter, not harder. It's a phrase as old as deer hunting itself. But what does it really mean?
We can always put in extra time. That's not going to do it. Hunting smarter, to me, means picking and choosing my spots. Let's face it, we build this up. It starts in spring, it goes through summer, we're shooting our bows, we're planting food plots. We're doing all this stuff to get ready for deer season. Deer season comes, and we're like kids at Christmas. We run out there, we want to hunt, you know, we're blowing stands, we're burning out stands before they're even productive.
Hunting smarter really all boils down to putting yourself in the highest odd position of any given day. You don't necessarily have to spend more hours in the stand. As a matter of fact, I would much rather target the high odds hours. Every stand out there has a peak during season where it is going to produce the highest odds for an encounter with Mr. Big. What I want to do is I want to identify the peak for every single stand out there, and I am not going to hunt that stand until we're in that peak period.
How many times you go out there, you only have one stand hung. You might have two stands hung, and the wind isn't right. The wind's out of the south when it's normally out of the west, and you run out there and you hunt it anyways. You blow the stand, you ruin it before it's even good. That's what hunting smarter means, is picking and choosing your spots.
In a ridge type situation or hill country, you've got to look at the draws, coulees that the deer may not be using. And that takes a lot of scouting, trail camera surveillance. Once you understand the main travel routes of the deer, hop over one little coulee or draw, and that's your travel route. You use that to get to your tree stand on top of the ridge where the deer are going to want to come and glean the last of those acorns that are waiting for them as a buffet.
For me, hunting smart means being flexible, being able to change with the situations. And that's what you have to do, because situations are going to change as your hunt progresses, and you need to be able to react to be successful. I hunted down in Iowa just recently with a good friend of mine, Matt Harper, and you know, a lot of times we're not going to be hunting our own property. When you go somewhere else to hunt with a friend, with family, places maybe you've never been or you've just been there a few times, you really have to go with the information that the local can give you. In this case, my buddy Matt. So he's got all the places, you know, pretty much laid out. He's done all the scouting. He's got all the food plots. I'm just going to come in, I'm going to get what information I can from him, and I'm going to apply it to my hunt. It's not that I'm not going to make some of my own decisions, but I'm going to actually concede to him because he's the one that's done all the groundwork for me. And basically, he gave me a choice of several different stands to try, and gave me the reasons why this would be a good place in the morning, this might be a better stand in the afternoon, this might be a better stand in the evening. One particular morning, we set up over a small pond. I mean, it was a great place, and I really thought, you know, we're going to see a lot of deer here. It did not happen. I mean, the minutes tick by, the hours tick by. Pretty soon it's mid-morning. It's time to make a judgment call. I'm committed to staying out in the field all day because the rut is on, but I need to make a change. And this is where you have to make those cerebral decisions. And my decision was, we're going to move.
Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by Hornady, Accurate, deadly, dependable. Mossberg, built rugged, proudly American. Nikon, the next generation in hunting optics. Cuddyback, more deer, fewer blanks. And by Scent Killer Gold with Hunt Dry technology. Apply, dry it, and go hunt. Coming up, deer hunters have a reputation for being stump sitters, and that can work great, but you need to be open to changing your plan.
At certain points, there's a time when hunting smarter means moving and being more aggressive.
This is Deer and Deer Hunting.
Hunting smarter. That's the key.
So how does a hunter get smarter? By buying all the latest and greatest gear? No, the way to hunt smarter is to use the gift you've been given between your ears.
To become a better hunter, you have to know deer. To know deer, you have to be out there. You have to study what they do day to day. This doesn't mean hunting all the time. Yeah, you do get a lot of observations from hunting. That's how Deer and Deer Hunting was founded, through the stump sitters, through observations of deer behavior. But knowing what deer do, when they do it, what they feed on, when they feed on it. Not that they're coming to this brassica plot and eating it, that's easy. What's the native browse situation? What are they eating at different times during the year? What is your native browse situation like? Do you even have any? Have you done enough management to where your forest is regenerating, or do you have all invasive species? That's what knowing a deer is about, and that's how you outsmart them.
Now, whitetail hunters, they have a reputation for being stump sitters. They sit and wait, and that is a great way to be successful on whitetails during the pre-rut, the rut, post-rut, you name it. But at certain points, there's a time when hunting smarter means moving and being more aggressive. Now, you can take that literally and actually get out of the tree stand, and there's times when you may want to do that. Just get down out of the tree stand. A good example is that if you're looking into the woods and you see bucks chasing a single doe, that first doe to come in estrus in the area, there's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of action, and sometimes it's not happening right below you. If you see something like that, where there's a lot of love going on and not much security sense, get out of that tree stand. Make a move. It could work for you.
Then one also has to factor weather into it. Once you really start to read weather, you watch the Weather Channel and you see those temps that are here, 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 here. Oh, tomorrow the bottom's gonna drop out. I know when that happens that the odds are very good that Mr. Big is gonna get up on its hooves and he's gonna be moving a little bit later in the morning, a little bit earlier in the afternoon. You time your hunts for when you believe you have the best chance of killing Mr. Big. Do not head into a stand because this is a great stand. Head into your stand because I believe, I have tangible reason to believe that today Mr. Big is going to walk by this tree and I'm going to be there to kill him. The more you do that, the higher your odds of killing him the very first time in, and over a course of 10, 20 years, the more bucks you're going to kill.
Gordy Cron is bow hunting in Iowa, and so far, nothing is happening. Does he make a change to a new area or stay the course? What is the smartest decision?
You're taking a risk every time you move. Obviously, you can bump deer, you can disturb the area, but I weighed the risk and thought the reward, if this works out, is going to be worth the risk. So that's what we did. About 9 o'clock, we packed up and we moved. And we had to move about a half a mile to another stand on a ridge that I wanted to try, that I thought, you know, it's a nice funnel area, maybe we'll have better luck there. We hadn't gone, 200 yards and we bumped a doe. And right away, I'm deflated because now I feel like we've really buggered things up. And then we hadn't gone a quarter of a mile, and I look over through the brush and into a field, and there's a buck standing out there. Oh, God. There's our deer, but we're pinned down, we're on the ground, what are we gonna do? Well, I got on the grunt call just to see what his reaction would be. His reaction was to come straight at us. I mean, he just whipped around and just came right at us. I thought, okay, what are we going to do now? Well, I just hunkered down. I thought, okay, if he just comes in and I sit really still, there's a possibility I'm going to get a crack at this deer. Well, it didn't work out that way. He swung downwind of us, picked up our wind, and he was gone. Now I've bumped 2 deer, but I'm still going to that stand. I'm committed. I'm making the change. I'm going to try this and see what happens.
Coming up next, Gordy's intuition to move pays off, but is he able to get a shot when this deer comes in at a tough angle? This is Deer and Deer Hunting.
We've got our plan. Having our plan really helps us to hunt smarter, not harder. Okay, it really jacks up our odds of success, but now all of a sudden we're walking into the woods. We're walking over to our stand and we stumble across this area that is just tore up. You have to be flexible. You don't just dismiss that area because you know what, I've got to stand over here. Instead, always ask why. Why did the deer tear this area up? Where were they coming from? Where are they going? What time of day? Which is a huge key, because the overwhelming majority of rut sign, deer signs left after dark. What time of day do I believe the odds are best that this occurred at? And lastly, what are the odds of it happening again during daylight? If I believe that this is now my hot area over here, you darn right I got that plan coming into season, but I am going to adapt just like that. What you need to do is watch the deer sign. So often they tell you what you need to do to kill them. All you gotta do is listen and be willing to react to it.
This is no different than what you do every day in your job. You know, you might go and punch in from 9 to 5 and do your job, but you really don't learn that job until you invest your whole self into it. This doesn't necessarily mean working all this overtime. We learn that. I mean, today everybody's working 2 or 3 jobs, within the same job. But when you learn how to maximize your efficiencies and you learn how to do things more efficiently with less effort or with less resource, that's what makes you a better worker. Same thing in the deer woods. You learn how to do things more efficiently and you learn how to hunt when it's more efficient, you become a better deer hunter.
A good example of hunting smarter, it's right here, my good friend, Gordy Cron. Gordy was bow hunting Iowa. Now you've all read the stories and seen the TV shows about Iowa. Big bucks everywhere, just literally tripping over themselves in the corn, right? Well, I've had a few hunts where that has occurred, but more than not, like any place else, whitetails are savvy, and you've got to hunt smarter. That's exactly what Gordy did.
Okay, I'm hunting in Iowa. I've moved from one stand, I'm moving to the next stand. I bumped 2 deer on the way over. But I'm committed to go to this stand. I mean, what else am I going to do at this point? I've still got a chance of killing a deer here if I do the right things. So we get up to our stand. It's on a nice ridge. It's a very obvious funnel area. I climb up into the stand and I'm just actually getting situated. I just happen to look over and I see a very nice buck just walking along the wood's edge, probably about 200 yards away. So, I mean, I've got to jump into high gear at this point. I get all my stuff situated, I get my release back on, and I hit the grunt call. And just like that other buck, he turns on a dime and starts coming toward me. I go, you know, this could really happen. I mean, I've made the move, I've taken the risk, here comes the reward. I hit him high, he just dropped like a rock. Oh, man. I can't believe it. I've been here for 5 minutes. I was still fumbling around with my pack, getting my stuff out of my pack, getting my bow set up, getting ready. And this dude, I look between the trees, and here he's coming right down the fence line. You've heard the phrase, I love it when a plan comes together, and that's basically what happened here. Made the decision to move, bumped deer, got up into a stand, and killed a deer. But it's all because I was using this. I was thinking about what I was doing, I was weighing my options, and I was acting on them. This to me was the right thing to do. It could have gone very badly, but it didn't. It worked out because it was the right thing to do. You get frustrated because nothing's happening, and then just like that, everything turns around. Well, I'm gonna give Matt a call. I think he's over on the next farm with the Polaris. See if he can't come over and help me get this guy out. Boy, he's a nice looking buck.
Coming up next, perfecting your setup in growing big and what you should be doing right now to get ready for the season. This is Deer and Deer Hunting TV. Deer and Deer Hunting is brought to you by Thompson Center, America's master gunmakers. Analogics, protect your herd with the power of science. Get armed and deadly with Easton's FMJ arrows. And by 10-Point Crossbow Technologies. There is no substitute.
You know, when I go to shows or I'm talking to other bow hunters and we're talking about arrow speed, a lot of guys are trying to, milk every bit of arrow speed they can out of their bow. And in some situations, that's okay. You might need something that's really flat shooting, but there's a couple other things to consider. One is kinetic energy. So when you shoot a really light arrow, you'll notice that your bow is noisier. What that is that's a lot of the energy, the potential energy of that bow being left behind. It translates into more bow noise. The other thing is, as you're thinking about arrow speed, you're thinking, well, I'm going to get to the target quicker. And that's true in some cases, but as you get into farther shots and you get farther down range, a lighter arrow will lose its speed faster than a heavier arrow. So something you can look at and something to think about is arrow speed in terms of that as well. Now, what I like to do is I like to shoot a little heavier arrow. That absorbs more of the kinetic energy out of the bow, and that makes for a quieter shot. Also, as your arrow travels downrange, it takes more of that energy and delivers it to the target, and that translates into better penetration. So that's a couple other things to consider. Another thing to consider is arrow diameter in all this mix. And a smaller diameter arrow flies with less friction, and it's more streamlined, like a race car. So when it does hit downrange, it's going to take more of its kinetic energy because it's going faster when it hits the target, and you're going to get better penetration for that reason as well.
We're going to talk about food plots today, but this is going to be a little bit of a different food plot show than you're probably used to. I'm not going to talk about how to go ahead and put in a food plot per se. I'm going to talk about something much more important, and that is the very first thing you do, well before breaking dirt, is you find your tree stand. You find your tree stand location, and then you game plan food plots around that. Where I'm standing right now is in the background. You can see I've got the ATV, the Furminator, we're ready to rock. But you know what I was doing yesterday? I was scouting and then putting up this stand. You'll probably, over the course of this tip, end up hearing traffic go by in the background. Why? Well, I can see the road right there. This is merely, 100 yards off the road. Examples like this don't happen by accident. I mean, this is going to be so easy. All I have to do is jump in the ditch down there, pop up 120, 150 yards to this stand, and not disturb anything. Okay, as I said, we picked out our tree. Right over here, we already added a water source, and over here, we did a bunch of hinge cutting. Okay, we did some blockading. We've got everything set up. Once we get closer to season, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of fencing in here so that the deer can't go through there, a little blockading material. And what we've done is we've created a slam dunk situation. If we've got any type of a wind that's blowing out towards the road, I can slip up in here, get up and stand. I can do this dang near every day of season. that I have that wind direction and never ever have a deer have a clue that I've been here. That doesn't happen by accident. If you can create a flow through your property, that's the whole ball game here, people. People do not spend anywhere near enough time game planning these improvements. They go out and they slap them in. Yeehaw, I've got a new food plot. Everything's going to change now. How are you going to get to that stand? What's your safe wind direction? Is it set up so that you've got a bedding area over here, food plots here? I've got a pinch point between them that I can get to and from real easy. You know, what's my safe wind directions? How am I going to get out? How am I going to keep these deer stupid? Because that is a major goal. How you do it is up front planning. Nature does not give us everything we need as hunters. So what do? We take it. We make it and we take it from her. That's what we're doing here. Got the tree picked out, got the entrance and exit route, zero impact. Got the water source, going ahead and putting in the food source now. I may even put in a couple apple trees up here as well. We've got a bedding area right over there. So I can, when I'm hunting this stand, I'm hunting food, I'm hunting bedding, I'm hunting rutting activity all at the same time. I've manufactured a setup here that could potentially be good from opening day to season's close, and that is a rare and magical thing, but it doesn't happen by accident.